Vicky Marie. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in this crazy world we're living in. So it's pretty crazy, isn't it? True life is definitely stranger than fiction, isn't it? And what we're going to talk about today in this video, something we've not talked about for a while, which is John George. Regular viewers of my channel, you'll remember this poor guy. Whatever anyone thinks of him, was sort of brought over to Spain. Some say lured over to Spain from Northern Ireland to, like it as if people were planning to kill him. I don't know if that's true. This will all come out, I suppose, when this finally comes to court. Anyway, whatever the reasons were that John came to Spain. He's got a bit of a checkered history. He's perhaps involved in things he shouldn't be involved in, but still a person and still somebody's son, somebody's brother, somebody's father. This guy had 2 children, young children. And he came over to Spain and then he disappeared. He was supposed to be going back to Northern Ireland, didn't make the flight, which seems like that flight maybe was not even booked by him. It was booked by somebody else. Though again, all I want to say is everything I'm saying here is things that have been reported on in this case. I'm not trying to upset anybody. Everyone's innocent till proven guilty. I'm just really talking about what the facts were that we were given in this case. My intention is not to upset anybody. I'm just reporting on it and giving people updates on it. And I hope, and my concern is for everybody that's involved in this case, because, it just seems this particular case, as every case you think, what is the motive? It just seems such a pointless crime to me anyway. It's pointless for everybody. Nobody's gained from it. It's like, what was the point in it? All this trauma, all this sorrow, all this angst for everybody, and nobody has profited out of it. So what was the point of it? It's pointless. And the person who lost the most, of course, was John George, who lost his life, and his little boys, or his boys, who lost their dad. Anyway, so what happened was then he disappeared. So then his family came over on a tip-off that John George, something bad had happened to John George. His family came over, were practically sent on a wild goose chase all over Spain. So imagine it's bad enough that your loved one's gone missing, but in a foreign country, you've got the language barrier, you've got the problems of the way that the Guardia Civil work, which always causes problems because people don't understand how to deal with the Guardia Civil. And they are notoriously secretive. They don't give out information. They don't come over as very caring. They're not caring. They're like a military police, really. I think people have to remember that. They're not community police. They're like a military police. They're quite stern. You can get them on your side, but there's a way of doing that. Anyway, so this poor family searched all over Christmas, New Year, and it turns out they were looking in completely the wrong place anyway. They brought a search team over from Northern Ireland, didn't they? It just must have been awful. But of course, and also they were looking for a body. They weren't expecting to find John George alive. They'd practically been told that he was not alive. Eventually, one day the Guardia phoned them and said his body had been found. So then at least they had John George's body. They took him home. They gave him a burial. There's some comfort in that, isn't there? There's some cold comfort in the fact that he's not lying out in some Spanish ravine somewhere and nobody, they're not able to have a resolution. So now it's justice for John George, isn't it? Now, of course, the priority is whoever did this, them going to court, being found guilty, successfully convicted, and given a prison sentence. This will be what the family will be looking for. And this is what we look for in every case, isn't it? That somebody is held accountable. Because it turns out that John George, he was shot, he was stabbed in the leg, he was stripped, and he was just discarded in like a lemon grove in Rocales in Spain. So, it was pretty horrible what happened to him. And as I say, what was the motive? It just seems so pointless. Was it just a drug-fueled sort of argument that escalated out of control? Or are there deeper reasons for what happened to John? But the one thing that we do know is John was murdered, and he didn't murder himself. Somebody murdered him. And there are two main suspects who are one is in custody, and the other one has been released on bail. So I don't think it's a secret now that the suspect is Johnny Smythe, who's in prison, because I think a mistake he made. I mean, I don't know who killed John George, who fired the bullets or whatever. I don't know. So I don't know that it was Johnny Smith. But he did go on the run immediately afterwards. So that won't that won't look good for him, unfortunately, when it comes to the court case. Whereas the other suspect, Michael Malley, he did hand himself into the police. I think it's likely it was him who told the police where the body was. And he was released on bail until the court case comes up, which gosh knows when that will be. Spanish justice is very slow as well. I think it must be frustrating for everybody concerned. That it will take a long time probably, and then depending on what the verdict is and the sentencing for murder in Spain is so what's the word? He could get a really long sentence, or he could get a quite short sentence. You just have no idea. It's not like in Spain everything's arbitrary, so it'll all depend what the judge feels like doing on the day, really. And obviously, whatever extenuating circumstances or whatever are presented, how good their defence is, you just can't predict what the outcome will be or what the sentence will be. But in the meantime, Johnny is in prison, I presume in Alicante prison. I don't know which prison he's in. And Michael Malley is walking free, but he's not allowed to leave the country. He's got to report in, I think probably every 2 weeks or something, when like his bail conditions will be something like that. Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about. But now it turns out that Johnny and his young girlfriend, Madison, got married while he was on the run in Gibraltar. And this is Madison, who's saying this openly. She's been in the Sunday newspaper talking about it. So I don't feel bad talking about it because obviously it's public. But, and now that means that while Johnny is in prison, they can have conjugal visits of 2 a month. So my question to you chatters who are watching is, what do you think about that? Do you think it's a good thing that people get conjugal visits in Spain, especially when they're being held for a serious crime like murder? Or do you think that's sort of unfair? I mean, that must be really a bit galling for the John George's family to see that, John George, has been removed from this world and his life ended. And the alleged killer, because don't forget it's the alleged killer. Now, I don't know if these conjugal visits would carry on if Johnny ends up being convicted of killing John. I don't know if that would mean then the conjugal visits couldn't continue because don't bear in mind he is innocent till proven guilty. I don't know, but what do you think of it anyway? Do you think it's a good thing or a bad thing? That's what we're going to talk about. We're also going to talk about another person who was involved in this case. This area of Spain the Orihuela Cosata, where all this happened, it's getting a terrible reputation for crime. There's a lot of sort of neighbourhood watch pages from that area. Everyone's complaining that there's muggings, there's burglaries, there's shootings, there's everything's going on in that area, and the police aren't controlling it well enough. I am going to do a video one day highlighting the whole problems in the area because it's an area that's very popular with expats. Not only British people, not only Irish people, but people from all over the world, or all over Europe particularly, go to the Orihuela Cosata. It's a place that if you went to it, you wouldn't even know you were in Spain, except for the sun was shining, because you wouldn't see a Spanish person. It's like, you know, it's nobody integrates. They don't speak Spanish. They don't integrate in the Spanish community. It's a real full-blown expat community, and as I say, expats from all different nationalities. But at the moment, it's having this sort of crime wave. I mean, it's a very popular area. It's right near the beach. It's lovely. There's lots of bars, restaurants. You know, for holidays, it's great. But it's important to remember, as with any popular holiday destination, it has its problems as well. So this is where all this is taking place. So another person that's been involved in the John George case, which is Dan McMeekin, he has been, you know, I worry about this. He's a young lad as well. I mean, you know, I don't know what's going to happen to him, because he is now being caught on CCTV camera. We're going to look at that, robbing bars, etc., in the area, and people are naming him on Facebook, etc. But I don't know if the police have got involved. You just think, it just seems so sad when young lives. He's a young man. He could be doing something else, and probably drugs have ruined his life as well, or certainly at the moment. But he's got time. You know, he's in his 20s. He's got time to change. You know, he's got time to make something of his life. If he can manage to stay out of anything too serious, you know, maybe going to prison might be a good thing if they rehabilitate him. You know, I'm not saying he should go to prison, but I think you understand what I'm saying. And it's no offence to him, but I would like to say that if there's anybody out there who knows him, well, you know, he needs help. I've said it before, he needs help, because before it all goes too far, doesn't it? So that's what we're going to talk about. But first of all, thank you for watching. Thank you for liking. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for caring about John George. And thank you for being members. A special thank you to my members, of course. Thank you to those of you who buy me coffee, send super stickers, PayPal me, send me nice emails, leave nice messages. If you contribute to my channel positively in any way, thank you so much. Then I'm going to say hello. Well, hi, fellow lurkers. Thank you for watching as well. I thought of a new name, didn't I, for lovely lurkers, I think it was. Hi, lovely lurkers. And hi to replay crew. Again, thank you so much. Let's have a look and see who's in chat. Who's made it up early this morning? Well, depending on where you are, of course. Hi, Sheep Farmer. Hi, Sean. Hi, Tracy. Now, so let's have a look at this. Oh, it's 5 p.m. in Australia, is it, Sean? 5 p.m. Well, it's 9:01 here in Spain. So this was an article. Now, I have been Madison Allen, who is, of course, Johnny's girlfriend, very young girlfriend. She's only 19 years old. And I know she's probably thinking, oh, what's that old woman talking about me for? But, you know, she is young, of course. 19 is very young, isn't it? And when you're 19, here she is with Johnny. when you're 19, of course, you know, you do think you know it all, don't you? I remember that feeling. Um, and I do think that I've been watching Madison on to me, Madison just seems like a young girl who she's totally in love with this man. That's how it feels. You know, and maybe they're in love with each other. I don't know. Sometimes when I see them together, like on the videos that are shared and that, you think they do just look like a couple that are in love, you know, but in the background of all this is this murder charge. You know, I mean, it's serious. It can't get any more serious, can it? And Madison being so young, and she has, what's the words I'm looking for? She's decided this is the man for her. She's in love. And, you know, at 19, she is a woman. At the end of the day, she's a grown woman, just a very young woman. And I hope, you know, her sort of investing herself with Johnny will not end in disaster for her, because the thing is, if Johnny is found guilty, he could end up facing at least 15 years in prison. That's a long time to be on your own, possibly with children, because Madison's been talking about, you know, obviously they're having these conjugal visits, and if she wants to get pregnant, you know, that's her choice, that's her life, it's her life to live. But that can be, you know, being a single parent can, which she would be to all effects and purposes. If he was in prison, it can be a very lonely life. So I hope she's making the right decision, but it's her decision to make. It's not my decision to make. So she was in the Sunday World, which is like the Irish sort of, you know, crappy Sunday newspaper, with this story. John George murder suspect got married in secret while on the run in Gibraltar. Now, I do think the main thing going against Johnny, as far as this case is concerned, is the fact that he went on the run. You know, it's like it won't look good when it comes to the court case, because obviously they're going to be asking, why did you go on the run? You know, innocent people shouldn't go on the run, should they? Now, I don't know what he's going to say. Maybe he'll say he wanted to get married, or, you know, I just have no idea what the reason's going to be. Now, it's important as well to say that no charges have been laid on Madison. Because Madison, obviously, she's had a lot of hate because she is Johnny's girlfriend. And, you know, people are saying that she knew all about it. She knows what's happened. She denies that. And she has not been charged with anything. So I just want to make that clear. I don't know if Madison knew anything or didn't. That's between Madison and her God and her conscience. What she knows, what she doesn't know, you know, only she knows. And God, of course. So the John George murder suspect, Johnny Smythe, got married in February to his OnlyFans partner, Madison Allen. So, of course, yeah, Madison, she was on OnlyFans, a very graphic sort of material. But again, it's her life to live. She's over the age of 18. But it did seem like, to me, you know, you've got to think about it, especially now, if she's thinking of having children. One day that's going to bite her, I'm sure, because, you know, when her children get old enough to know what's going on, they probably won't think to. Can imagine what teenagers would be like finding out that their mum used to be on OnlyFans. But anyway, she can't change that now. She's moving forward with her life. I think she's come off OnlyFans now. But again, it's her life to live. It's her choice. So apparently the couple sneaked off to a private ceremony in Gibraltar while Spanish cops were on the hunt for 27-year-old Smythe. So, yeah, the thing as well to remember is he's a lot older than her. He's 27. She's only 19. Just seems so young to me. That it's funny, isn't it? Because I know when I was 19, I didn't think I was, you know, just a child. I thought, you know, but it's funny, isn't it? You realise as you get older that someone of 19 is still a child, really, aren't they? They're in that sort of twilight zone between being a child and being an adult, but they're not quite there yet. They think they are. So last night, 19-year-old Madison from North Belfast told the Sunday World, this is last Sunday, by the way, it's been all week that I've been trying to talk about this story. Not Sunday just gone, it's the Sunday before. I just haven't had a chance to make a video about it. She said that she'd wanted to keep their marriage private, so not to upset anyone, but that someone had got wind of it, and so she wanted to let the world know. So I could see that it's better that she comes out with it than anybody else. I presume she's probably got paid for this story. I don't know, and why not? It's her story, and why shouldn't she get paid for it? But better, you know, when you get wind of maybe somebody else is going to talk about something, probably better that you come out and talk about it. So she revealed the couple have been granted conjugal visits twice a month since Johnny was locked up in Spain. Yeah, now these conjugal visits, hi Jean Bissett phase, conjugal visits, you know, I cannot sort of make my mind up whether they're, personally, I think they're probably a good thing as far as keeping prisoners under control is concerned. You know, maybe it's just a realistic way, you know, maybe it's just been in most Hispanic cultures, like in South America, they have conjugal visits too. So Spain is the same. And years ago, I knew someone whose husband was in prison for drug offences, and she would go for the conjugal visits. It's quite embarrassing, you can imagine, because they all know what you're there for. Imagine the prison wardens, and I think they have like a caravan thing that they go in. I don't know the full details. I don't want to know, but it won't be Romance City, will it? You know, it's like, but I suppose when you're missing someone, it's better than nothing. But, you know, I feel for Madison with that as well, because I think Madison puts a brave face on everything, but I expect there are times when Madison is really down about everything. But of course, she's not going to, you know, she has taken a lot of hate. Maybe some of it she deserves, I don't know. But she's still just a 19-year-old girl who is in love, blatantly, clearly in love with this guy. And I hope he, you know, hope he realises how lucky he is. Because, of course, she's a very beautiful girl as well. So, for some reason, she's in love with him. So we got married in February and I don't care now. Who knows? She told the Sunday World. So there you go. That's the marriage certificate, photo of the ring. Nice ring. I don't like the watch. What is it with these big ugly watches that everybody thinks are brilliant? You know, but the ring looks lovely. Nice nails. I mean, Madison is a very attractive girl. She looks after herself. She always looks nice. But as I say, I expect, you know, all we see of Madison, like of anyone on social media, you see them when they're dressed up. You know, Madison seems to like making videos of sort of singing to videos, and, you know, like most young girls do. But I expect there's lots of times when Madison's not feeling too clever, but you would not see videos of that, of course, just like any social media, anybody who's on social media, they don't normally post, except on TikTok, where, oh my God, do you know what? TikTok, you sort of scroll down it and you just think, oh, for God's sake, why are you inflicting your misery on me? You know, like, it's just flick, because they just come up with this sort of pitiful face. And, you know, to me, that's not what I want to see. Some people perhaps like watching people like whinging and being miserable and what have you. To me, I'd rather watch Madison, you know, because at least, you know, she looks nice and she's normally singing something and doing something, you know, and whatever people think of Madison or don't think of her, She's just doing what probably a load of girls her age do. So anyway, we tied the knot at the convent, which is the governor's residence. Now, a lot of people who live in Spain go to Gibraltar to get married because Gibraltar, of course, is British. It's British law there. So if you get married in Gibraltar, it's legal in Britain. And it's just easier, to do than to try and go through the Spanish system. We travel from Portugal to Gibraltar on the 14th because Gibraltar is UK territory, so the wedding is legal back home. And then we went back to Portugal. So don't forget, this is where they were finally found, wasn't it? In Portugal. I'm still not really clear why Johnny went on the run, if he's innocent, if he's got nothing to hide. Why did he go to Portugal? Because obviously, there was a load of rumours at the time that he'd gone to Thailand and he'd done this and he'd done that, but he went to Portugal and he was caught in Portugal. I'm just not sure why he went, because, if you're innocent, why go? And you didn't go far. He was obviously going to get caught sooner or later. So I'm not really sure what that was about. And as I say, I don't think that will count well for him when it comes to the court case. But I'm sure he'll have a reason that he'll present to the judge. So Madison says, I'm the happiest I've ever been right now, and we both know we are each other's number one supporter and always will be. I'm forever grateful for how happy he makes me and the things he has done for me in the past and even now, and it will continue. We will continue to be and do our best for each other. We had wanted to get married for so long, and we decided to do it in February in private. So that's 4 months ago, of course. Johnny proposed in Portugal on the 11th of February, and we got married 3 days later on Valentine's Day. We had no friends or family there. We had strangers for witnesses. We will have a full wedding when he gets out on bail, and then we'll do it all properly. Is he going to get out on bail though, Madison, is he? Johnny Smith is one of two men that Spanish police quizzed about the murder of John George in Alicante in December last year, and former gym owner Smith fled his apartment in Spain during the police investigation, and he and Madison rented a property in Portugal until John's campaigning father, Billy George, tracked them down and he was arrested and returned to Spain. It was probably because of Billy George that we got so interested in this case, because I think, in my opinion, I don't see how he couldn't have been moved by his videos that he made as he was searching for his son and how distraught he was. And if Madison and Johnny do end up having children, maybe they'll understand later on in life how that feels, when your son is sort of missing and probably deceased somewhere. And really, the very least anyone could have done, even in an anonymous way, was let them know where John George was, his body, because they searched for him for a month in the wrong place. It is heartbreaking that when you think about it. Christmas Day, New Year's Day, searching through unfamiliar areas, through discarded bin bags and rubbish, culverts, tunnels, in the heat or the cold, because it was, or the rain, or whatever the weather was like at the time. It was weird weather in Spain at the time, but in the wrong place on a wild goose chase, when somebody knew where John really was, and could have told them, even anonymously, and just made that little bit of difference, that little bit of human kindness, to not just leave them on this wild goose chase, searching everywhere. Anyway, calm as a bitch, whoever that was that knew where he was and didn't tell them, I hope they won't have to ever face that for their own children anytime, ever. So, yeah, he was arrested and returned to Spain. Yeah, when you see the photo, I mean, they do always look so happy together. It's who knows what happened. Listen, the only people who know exactly what happened and what happened to John George is John George, who's no longer with us, and of course the people who did it to him, and their God. And you know what? They have to think about their mortal soul. That's what I always say. And I think, if you don't worry about justice in this life, if you can't escape justice forever, one day you're going to meet your maker, and you better hope that at least, maybe you've made up for it. We all do bad things. John George did bad things. He'll be meeting his maker. He'll be accounting for anything that he did. But he didn't stab someone in the leg, shoot him twice, and leave them in a lemon grove in Spain. He didn't do that. He might not have been perfect and might have done things that he shouldn't have done. But he didn't do that, did he? So he disappeared in December in the Alicante area. His remains were found in January, following extensive appeals from the family and friends who travelled out to search for his body. And the father of two was shot twice, once in the face, apparently. And his body was left in a rural area in the Alicante region around December the 14th. But his body wasn't discovered for several weeks. And in the aftermath, Madison was subjected to a hate campaign from online supporters of John George, who claimed she had covered up the murder. Which the thing is, you do get sort of tarred with the same brush as who you associate with, don't you? But the other thing, what I found now, I mean, I am in some of these John George groups. There's so many anonymous posts. I wouldn't allow, if that was my Facebook group, I wouldn't allow anonymous posts, because people just say all sorts of shite because they're anonymous. They don't have to, I am who I am. I'm saying what I'm saying. I don't want to upset anybody. But everything I say, these are my views. They're only views. I try and sort of be fair to all sides always. And people are innocent until they're proven guilty. But, when people go on Facebook and put anonymous posts and that, it's just like, it's not even worth reading, really. So she says, I've done nothing wrong, and neither has Johnny. Which I don't know, maybe not. But then I just don't. The only thing I would say there, Madison, is I don't understand why then you went on the run. That's all. I made my witness statement to the police 2 weeks ago. I have never been arrested because they know I had nothing to do with it, no matter what anyone else wants to say. Smith was made a wanted man in January after, so don't forget, 3 arrest warrants were issued for Johnny. The national arrest warrant, international arrest warrant, and what was the third one? Anyway, there were 3 arrest warrants issued for him. So he could be arrested wherever he was. And he was finally, when he was found, so he was held on March the 25th on an international arrest warrant because he was found out of the country. And he was tracked down to an unnamed Airbnb in Braga, a city in the far north of Portugal. After being brought back to Spain, Smith was initially held in a remand prison near the border town of Badajoz in Spain's southwest Extremadura region after being driven across the frontier by armed cops. He was then transferred to another prison, where he's at the centre of an ongoing investigation into the murder of Belfast dad of 2, John George. And Madison says that whatever happens to Johnny, she won't be returning to Northern Ireland ever again. I believe he's done nothing wrong. He's been held for several months and there's been no charge. They're only holding him in case he runs away. but I told them to take his passport or put a tag on him, but they won't. Well, the thing is, he's run off once, so, you know, this is what I said at the time. It's not a good idea to run off. You know, best what Michael Malley did. He went, you know, I'm not sticking up for him. I don't know who did this. Could have been him. But as far as the legal side of things is concerned, he did the right thing. He got a solicitor. He went to court. He applied for bail, and he got bail. But to run off, that's not going to go down well. So she said, we will always live in Spain. We will never return to Northern Ireland. He could be locked up, but I think he will be set free because he's done nothing wrong. Where are we? Where's it gone? I'll still be in Spain with or without Johnny. He will either be with me in Spain or he'll be in prison. So since we got married, we've been allowed to meet up for conjugal visits twice a month, which has been great. She says that after they tied the knot, they went out for dinner, but they are planning a full wedding when Johnny is released. We just went out for dinner afterwards. My mum and the rest of my family knew I was even with Johnny at that stage because they thought he was in Thailand and I was in Spain. When he proposed, I sent a picture of the ring to my mum, but she didn't believe it until I sent her a picture of the marriage certificate. I was shopping one day and then I came back and he had the apartment all decorated and he asked me to marry him and I couldn't believe it and I said yes straight away. Well, you know, I do think he's the luckier one. Like she's saying that as if she feels like she's lucky that he's asked her to marry him. But I do feel that Johnny really is the lucky one in this arrangement, personally. But, you know, I'm not saying anything bad against Johnny. I'm just saying at the end of the day, Madison is obviously totally in love with Johnny and thinks she's lucky that he's asked her to marry him. But I think he's the lucky one that she agreed, to be honest. He bought the ring last July and he said he would marry me after the fallout after the John George murder. He realised I was the only one to stand by him. I'm proud to be his wife. He's been there for me more than anybody. At the start, when I first met him, he asked me what my job was. Oh God, where's that gone? He asked me what my job was and I said only fans, but he made me stop it. Now, I don't know that's exactly true because I thought they were, you know, Johnny was participating in the OnlyFans, but hey, who am I to say? This is what Madison says. He made me stop it, but I said to him, I want to do it. And he agreed. When he saw how much I was making, he joined in. Oh, he did join in, yeah. We made £10,000 in a week. I mean, you know, I don't like that, sorry, but, you know, it's anyway, I'm not commenting on it. It's your life to live, Madison. He still has money and he's able to send me money. It's money from the gym. I'd been friends with John George for 4 years. Not once until he died did I know he had kids or any family. That's strange, isn't it? So she's only 19 now. So she's been friends with John George since she was 15. But she didn't know he had kids or any family. How did she know him then if she didn't know his family or that he had kids? I feel so sorry for his mum. I have no sympathy for anyone else. What has gone on since John was murdered regarding the treatment of me has been completely out of order. Anyone who has said anything bad about me is just jealous of a 19-year-old living her life with a supportive husband. I'm not even going to comment on these things. I'm sure you'll all have a comment. This is what Madison thinks. It's her life to live, as I say. Madison says she and Johnny have always known each other but had never been together till she went out to Spain. I moved out to Spain and we became really good friends, and he promised he would always look after me. After all the drama, he realised that I am the only one that truly stuck by him. And I will always will, no matter what. I can't thank him enough for the opportunities he has given me and everything he has done for me. From the first time I met him in Spain, he always promised, and I knew I was the one he was going to marry. And I proved myself to him that I will have his back. So he kept his promise by us going to get married at the start of the year, something we both wanted for so long. That's it. So yeah, what do you think? No, £10,000 a week, Sean. I know, it's a lot of money, isn't it? There you go, OnlyFans, that's the way to go, Sean. Okay, so let's have a look at oh yeah, there's a ring. They're married. And they got married, so that means I presume if they hadn't been married, they probably wouldn't have got the conjugal visits. I think you have to be married. But let's not forget who's at the centre of this. This is the person that was murdered. So he's not getting any conjugal visits. Well, maybe he is. Who knows where he is and what's going on. But do you know what I mean? It's like I just think this story in the papers must be quite a slap in the face for the George family, because, you know, I don't, you know, whatever. There's so many different things said about the, you know, you get one, there's like two camps, isn't there? There's like the ones that are supporting Madison and Johnny, like criticising the George family. And then obviously the George family are criticising Maddie and Johnny. But at the end of the day, it's the George family that have lost their loved one. You know, their loved one's been murdered by somebody. As I say, he did not murder himself. He did not stab himself in the leg and shoot himself twice and put himself in a lemon grove. You know, so the loss for the George family is bigger at the end of the day, because John is dead. You know, this is a murder charge. It's not assault. You know, it's not. John is not out there living his best life somewhere in the sun. He's dead. So we have to remember that. So then the other thing that I just wanted to talk about, and again, I'm not judging anybody. What I'm trying to say is, you know, this just feels to me, I don't know why I even, you know, at the end of the day, maybe it's nothing, you know, I shouldn't worry about people, you know, that I don't even know, but I can't help it. So this is the Orihuela Cosata Facebook page. Oh, there's something that somebody's just put on Facebook about.
Investigation. So there was a story this week in relation to that. Not the story that most people are asking is that when is the trial date going to be set, but in relation to Madison Allen and Johnny Smith. So it was reported in the Belfast Telegraph this week that Madison Allen and Johnny Smith were married in February in Gibraltar. Now, I have no interest in people's private lives. I don't do that kind of reporting. I'm a crime reporter. But there is a crime element of public interest to this, so bear with me and I'll explain why. So the pair were married in February in Gibraltar. That is during the time when Johnny Smith was on the run from the Spanish authorities. There were 3 arrest warrants issued for him in January, and they were a Spanish arrest warrant, a European arrest warrant, an international arrest warrant, and we were told at that time that he was being sought by Interpol. So if they were married in February, that means that he crossed into Gibraltar from Spain. Gibraltar is British territory, it's British overseas territory. He would have had to give a passport to pass out to the border of there. And then he was married in what we can assume was a civil ceremony. And for that to happen, obviously, there's a lot of paperwork around that. There's a lot of legalities around that. And how did all of this happen without triggering Interpol, who we were told were searching for him at this time? So that is the crime and public interest element of this story, not the actual fact that.
Actually, it's true what she says. If I think that must have been before the arrest warrant was issued, because otherwise, surely it would have triggered when they got married and had to supply their passports, etc. But it's a good point. But were the arrest warrants issued afterwards? After the wedding? Did they get married before because it took a little while before the arrest warrants were
This pair were married while he was on the run. There's also a second element to it, which is in Spain there are limitations of protections for spouses in some criminal and civil proceedings. So there is some very high profile cases you can search online in relation to this, where there are protections to prevent the prosecution calling somebody's wife or husband and compelling them to hand over messages, private messages, or give evidence in relation to their loved ones. So while that comes with limitations, the cynical person would say that this marriage was very convenient that it happened at this time, when we know that Madison Allen was with Johnny Smith during this period he was on the run.
Yeah, so that's interesting as well. I mean, I was thinking it'd probably come for the conjugal visits, maybe, that he was expecting that sooner or later he would go to prison. So just the fact that they're married means they get the conjugal visits. But the point Alison's making there is there are certain, I think in a lot of countries, isn't it, that sometimes a spouse cannot be forced to testify against their partner, so if they're married, so maybe that's sort of part of it as well.
So that was my only interest in it, and that's the honest truth. I couldn't honestly care what else these people get up to in their private life. That was why I was reporting on this. And also, I suppose what I will say is that there are some people still making a lot of the fact that Johnny Smith has not yet been charged in relation to John George's murder. Neither has Michael Melly, and let me explain why. If this was something that had happened in the UK or Ireland, a person would be arrested. If there was evidence, they would be charged, and then they would either be remanded or they would be bailed until their trial date. That's not what happens in Spain. Their laws work very different. Their justice system works very different. What happens there is that the police and the prosecution make their case, and then the defendant isn't charged until the day of the trial, the day the trial actually starts. So no inference should be drawn from the fact that they haven't been charged yet. In fact, if you're going to draw any inference, it's the fact that Johnny Smith remains on remand. Therefore, the Spanish police are still investigating him as a suspect. And if there is to be a trial, which is expected, neither of those two men or those two defendants would actually face any charges until the day of that trial. I have no date for that, but I will let you know if there's any update.
Yeah, interesting. And that's the thing in Spanish. So this is what I was trying to say to you. About the way the Spanish system works is so different to the way the British system works. It's difficult to get your head around. They will still be investigating. God knows when the trial's going to be. It could be another year. But in the meantime, the reason that John is being kept in prison or on remand, wherever he is, I don't know where he's being kept. I presume he's in Alicante prison, but I don't know for sure. Because he's actually not been found guilty yet, so maybe he's not in prison, maybe he's in some remand centre. He's only there. He would be on bail if he hadn't have gone on the run, just the same as Michael Malley. He would be free, but he'd already gone on the run once. They're not going to let him out again, are they? So he's only really been arrested as a suspect. As Alison said, he hasn't actually been charged because he won't get charged until the day of the trial. So yeah, it's a very strange system. Well, I say, is it strange or is it just different? I don't know, but I think it's a very frustrating system for relatives the British system is bad enough, or the American system or Australian system. We moan about them, but thank God it's not the Spanish system, because I do think it's not very, don't know why it's been designed it's probably not been designed, it's just evolved that way. It does seem like unfair to victims and victims' families, doesn't it? That they have to sort of, wait all this time. And not only that, their offender, or the alleged offender, in the case of Michael Malley, he's just free and wandering around, and maybe it was him who did it. I don't know who did it. I wasn't there. And as I say, the only people who know who did it, there's only them, and their God knows the truth. So going back to what I was originally going to look for there, but I ended up finding that instead, is, as I say, Dan McMeekin. Unfortunately for him, and I'm just again telling you what has come up on all the Orihuela Cosata websites, the crime websites. So Orihuela Cosata is in the south of Spain, not far from Benidorm, I suppose. It's about 45 minutes from Alicante airport, but the other way from Benidorm. It's as I say, a big expat area, and it's currently going through a massive crime wave. There's muggings, there's robberies, there's all sorts. And of course, now in this day and age of social media, CCTV images are being released, etc. And Dan McMeekin was actually named. So this was the original post. Shocking crimes in Orihuela Cosata, burglar caught on camera, and a violent daylight mugging. The mugging was not Dan. Dan was the burglar. Two alarming incidents have once again raised serious questions about public safety and law enforcement response in Orihuela Cosata. So this robbery, it was at the Central Grill in Zenyamar, and this robbery was caught on camera. And this person has been named as Dan McMeekin. Now, I can't say for certain it was Dan McMeekin. What I'm saying is he's been named by this Facebook group. So on the night of May the 9th, 2025, a masked intruder broke into the popular Central Grill in Zenyamar, kicking in the door and helping himself to food and goods as if it were his own home. CCTV footage clearly shows the suspect inside the restaurant with a distinctive tattoo on his left hand. The restaurant publicly shared the footage of the burglary and thanked the two local residents who called the police. Now they hope the power of the internet can help identify the man and bring him to justice. So that I'm not going to read the other one because that's not relevant. So this is the full video. Let's see if I can. Why can't I make that? Anyway, you can just see it in the corner there, but I can't seem to be able to make it bigger. Anyway, then someone focused in on the person who did it, and then other people have literally named him. Now, I'm just making it clear they've named him. I haven't named him. Someone has linked his Facebook page there. The reason I'm talking about this is, as I say, I'm worried about this. I call him a boy. He's not a boy. He's a man. He's in his 20s, but he's a young somebody. He needs help. I've said it before. He needs help. It just feels like he's just left to sort of his own devices, is going round robbing places, sooner or later he's going to end up in prison, isn't he? Or something's going to happen to him. What sort of... The thing is, in Spain, if you don't have any support system, you are on your own. Because Dan, as far as I know, doesn't... Well, I know for a fact, he doesn't speak Spanish, does he? So he's not going to be able to go... There is a minimum amount you can claim. Like, I think it's €200 a month from the government, just to stop people from starving, really. It's just so that they can buy some food in a month. But you have to go and apply for it, and you have to go and apply for it every month. You don't get it, like, awarded it, and then that's it till you come off it. You get awarded it, and every month you have to go and apply for it again. So I can't see Dan doing that because, of the language barrier, etc. Now, again, he looks like he's taking alcohol, food, bit more alcohol. I don't know where he's living. I don't know what Dan McMeekin is up to. But if anyone knows him, really, he needs help. That's all I would say is, please, he needs help. Somebody needs to help him. Otherwise, where's he? How's he going to end up? So, it's very sad. Very sad. When young people take a wrong turn in, they do. Young people take wrong turnings, don't they, all the time? John George did it when he was young. That's how he ended up in the life he was in. And, it probably contributed, his lifestyle no doubt contributed towards his death. Because otherwise, sort of associating with drugs, associating with people who have guns, that's really scary. Wonder all these guns and things. Horrible. Really, really scary. So, as I say, I will be doing a video about the Orihuela. I'm just going to get it up on... Now, the Orihuela Costa, I know it relatively well. I don't live there, thank goodness. I won't want to live there. But let's have a look. But I do know it quite well because I've done all sorts of things, interpreting, taught Spanish over there, done all sorts of things over there. So here's Orihuela Costa. This is where, in Rocales, where John's body was found. Orihuela Costa is where the apartment was that John George likely was last seen in. And I just want to show you where it is in connection with, like, Benidorm. Is that a place that people mainly will know in Spain? Is Benidorm. So Alicante is in the centre there. Alicante is where the airport is. So it's round about the same distance to Benidorm from the airport. Or if you come to Orihuela Costa, you come in the other way. And there's a big, as I say, expat contingent. There's a big Irish contingent around La Zenia and that area. So you come along the coast road past Torrevieja and Orihuela Costa. It's not there. I don't know why it's pointing there. It's not there, but Orihuela Costa is past Torrevieja. It's round about here. Yeah, that's Rocales, where John was found. Orihuela Costa is here. Oh, there's La Zenia. La Zenia, that's all the Orihuela Costa area. And yeah, there's a lot of protests from the residents there. They're saying they're getting forgotten by the town hall. With not enough policing. Because the problem is, because it's an expat area, it's a holiday area, but it's run by God, it just shows you how far away it is. It's part of Orihuela, which is miles away. There's Mercia. Yeah, Orihuela, the main town, is sort of over here somewhere. It's nowhere near the Orihuela Costa. And anyway, there's a lot of controversy, demonstrations, protests, not enough policing. The roads are full of potholes. There's what you call it, like grass everywhere that needs all trimming up. But it's just been left to rack and ruin, basically, according to the residents. The sewage can't cope with the amount of people that are living there. They're still building there, but they can't cope with the amount of people that are already living there. So there's so many problems in Orihuela Costa, apart from the crime wave. But the thing is, people like going there on holiday because loads of bars, loads of restaurants. It's got a real holiday feel to it. And there are a lot of good things about Orihuela Costa. But unfortunately, at the moment, it feels like the bad things are overshadowing it. And it needs taking in hand. It's only been in existence for about 20 years. It's a new, it came in the boom of the of the new millennium. That's when it just exploded there. But the infrastructure hasn't had time to catch up with the blow up of houses and the influx of people. So it's a bit of a chaotic place. Anyway, so I hope you found that interesting. Just wanted to catch you up on that. What do you think? As I say, let me know in comments as always. What do you think about conjugal visits? Do you think that's the only reason or the main reason why Johnny and Madison got married? Was that because of the conjugal visits? Was it because of this? It's possible that spouses can't be called to give evidence, etc., or can't be forced to hand over their phone. So Madison said she'd given her police statement to the police and no charges were brought. Maybe they can't do anything because now she's his spouse. Maybe that's the reason. And what do you think? Do you think Johnny is guilty? And if he's not guilty, why did he go on the run? I think that was a wrong decision by Johnny to do that. If he's going to try and plead his innocence, I think that will always not look good in his favour, that's all. So, but somebody killed John George, didn't they? Somebody did. So, and somebody knows, probably maybe more than one person knows who did it. Question is, why did they do it? Just seems like the most pointless crime ever to me. I don't see what advantage anyone got from it. Was it just a sort of argument that got out of control? And if that's the problem when there's guns lying around, people are taking drugs and drinking and arguing. It's not a good mix, is it? Something terrible was going to happen sooner or later. And unfortunately, John George paid the ultimate price for that. So, okay. I'll see you really soon in the next video. Rest in peace, John George. And justice for John George. So whoever did kill John, they need to be held to justice. It's not right to kill someone. Full stop. And if anybody, people that did it, they need to think about their mortal soul. I really believe that. Might sound ridiculous. You might even escape justice in this life. But sooner or later, you'll be going to the next one. Okay, thank you. I'll see you really soon in the next video. And until then, as always, may your God go with you. Bye.